Heard of never speaking ill of the dead? Well, it's definitely not in Brooke's books. Hulk Hogan's daughter has just revealed many things about the wrestler right after his body turned cold.
He's capable of anything. Let's just put it that way.
Some of what Hulk allegedly did was so bad, Brooke's refusing to take a cent from his inheritance. Let's get into it. Brooke Hogan's shocking revelations about her father's dark side. The immortal Hulk. Hogan, the man who body-slammed Andre the Giant at WrestleMania 3, the American hero who trained, said his prayers and ate his vitamins, has been exposed by the one person who knew him best, his own flesh and blood. The truth started spilling out like blood from a busted open forehead when Linda Hogan posted emotional videos on Instagram in March 2025, blaming Hulk for the family's dysfunction. But what came next was a verbal suplex that nobody saw coming. Brooke didn't just respond, she delivered a shoot promo that would make Stone Cold Steve Austin's Austin 316 speech look tame. In a devastating Instagram post that went more viral than any wrestling clip, Brooke revealed she had experienced extremely verbal and mental abuse since childhood that would frequently turn physical. This wasn't a work, brothers. This was a shoot, and it cut deeper than any razor wire or steel chair to the skull. The daughter of the man who preached about training, prayers, and vitamins was telling the world that her own father had been delivering emotional and physical punishment behind closed doors for decades. But here's where it gets more twisted than a ladder match gone wrong. Brooke didn't stop there. She dropped another bombshell that would make even the most hardcore wrestling fans question everything they thought they knew about their hero. She revealed that she had been asked to defend poor behavior to the public and have done so out of love, only to find out she was misinformed, manipulated, and lied to. During one of her trips to a restaurant, she encountered fans who judged her for being out at such a time. In her words,
Everybody was like, "Are you Brooke Hogan? What are you doing here?" And I'm like, I just am normal and I just need some social interaction and to feel normal and to feel alive, so sorry.
Picture this. While Hulk was making millions and the crowd was chanting Hulkamania, his own daughter was being used as a human shield to protect his reputation from the scandals that would eventually destroy his legacy.
You know, when your dad had his big scandal, you know, was that hard for you to sit back and be a daughter and watch that go down? Because I got to imagine that's really painful for you at that time.
It's hard, and you know, everybody was like, "Oh, Brooke stands by her dad," and this and that. And it's
However, the most devastating revelation came when Brooke explained what it was like being the daughter of wrestling's biggest icon. She watched others benefit financially off my suffering and embarrassment caused by their selfish behavior, while it caused my life to crumble. Think about that for a minute, wrestling fans. While Hulk Hogan was making millions from his wrestling career, movies, and reality TV shows, his own daughter was being sacrificed on the altar of his fame and fortune. Now let's talk about one of the most shocking aspects of this family drama, Hulk Hogan's racist attitudes that tore his relationship with Brooke apart like a steel cage being ripped to shreds. The 2015 racism scandal wasn't just about some leaked audio, it was about a father who couldn't accept his daughter's choices in life. The leaked audio transcript from a 2007 sex tape revealed Hogan using racial slurs, including the N-word, while discussing Brooke's dating life, specifically expressing discomfort about her reportedly dating a black man. But here's what really happened behind the scenes, and this is where it gets more personal than any Family Feud storyline you've ever seen on television. Hogan reportedly called Brooke a for dating a black man and made it clear that he disapproved of her relationship choices based purely on race. This wasn't just locker room talk, brothers. This was a father rejecting his daughter's happiness because of the color of her boyfriend's skin. The impact of this racism went beyond just words. It poisoned the well of their relationship permanently. Brooke later cited the scandal as devastating her career and forcing her to defend poor behavior publicly, contributing to her life crumbling. Imagine being forced to defend your father's racist comments on national television while knowing that those same racist attitudes were directed at your personal relationships. It's like being put in a submission hold that you can't tap out of. The family dysfunction reached its breaking point when it came time for one of the most important moments in any daughter's life, her wedding day. This is where Hulk Hogan proved that his racist attitudes weren't just talk. They had real, devastating consequences for his relationship with Brooke. Brooke married Stephen Oleksy in a private Orlando ceremony in June 2022 without informing her parents. But here's the real kicker that would make even the most hardened wrestling fans feel sympathy for Brooke. According to radio host Bubba the Love Sponge, Brooke asked her father to walk her down the aisle, but he refused. saying, "Sorry, I don't do weddings anymore." This wasn't just a scheduling conflict or a simple family disagreement. This came amid escalating tensions, and Brooke did not attend Hogan's September 2023 wedding to Sky Daily, citing the need to protect her heart. The father-daughter relationship had deteriorated to the point where they couldn't even celebrate each other's happiness. The estrangement between Hulk and Brooke became complete sometime around September 2023, and what led to this final break reads like the most heartbreaking storyline you've never seen on WWE television. Brooke described it as stemming from private phone calls no one will ever hear, respectful disagreements, and a thick veil around Hogan that she couldn't penetrate. But here's where the story gets even more tragic. Brooke had moved to Florida to support Hogan during his health crises, offering to be his life raft amid his surgeries and business problems. Picture this: a daughter who had been abused and manipulated for years, still trying to be there for her father in his time of need. But instead of gratitude, Hogan shut her out completely. Brooke explained that, "Then all of a sudden, he didn't want me at surgeries. Everything started getting covered in a thick veil. It was like there was a force field around him that I couldn't get through." The man who had spent decades in the wrestling business building relationships and working with people couldn't even maintain a relationship with his own daughter, who was trying to help him through his darkest hours. The final nail in the coffin of their relationship came with a decision that would shock even the most cynical wrestling fans. In 2023, Brooke requested removal from Hogan's will to avoid contentious battles over his estate and due to distrust of his inner circle, whom she believed were exploiting him. Think about that for a moment. A daughter so disgusted with her father's behavior and the people around him that she willingly gave up what could have been millions of dollars. This wasn't about money, brothers. This was about dignity, respect, and self-preservation. Brooke's husband, Stephen Alexi, confirmed this was to preserve her peace of mind and dignity, influenced by past hurts like the 2015 scandal. When you're willing to walk away from generational wealth because staying connected to it would destroy your soul, that tells you everything you need to know about how toxic that relationship had become. Alexi later explained that money does not represent accomplishments in the ring. The majority of it came at the expense of my wife's dignity. He was referring to how much of Hogan's fortune came from the Gawker lawsuit settlement, which was connected to the sex tape that contained the racist comments about Brooke and her relationships. But the most heartbreaking part of this entire story is what happened during Brooke's most vulnerable moment. Brooke's twins were born in January 2025, and she nearly died during childbirth, but received no support from Hogan. Picture that scene: a daughter fighting for her life while bringing new life into the world, and her father, the man who claimed to be a real American hero, was nowhere to be found. The estrangement was so complete that Brooke's parents weren't even informed about the birth of their grandchildren. These children will grow up never knowing their grandfather, not because he died before they were born, but because their mother had to protect them from the same toxic environment that had destroyed her own childhood. Even after Hogan's death in July 2025, the pain and complexity of their relationship continued to haunt Brooke. In her tribute post, she tried to find some peace and closure, but the hurt was still evident. She described their bond as never broken, even in his final moments, and named her daughter Molly after him, showing that despite everything, some part of her still loved the man who had given her life, even as he had spent years systematically destroying it. From golden years to devastating scandals, the story of how Hulk Hogan destroyed his daughter's life didn't start with their estrangement or the racist comments that tore their family apart. Let's take a trip back to the early days, brothers, when Terry Gene Bollea was just a young father trying to raise his children while building the Hulk Hogan empire. During Brooke's childhood, the family maintained a relatively grounded suburban existence in Clearwater, Florida, where Brooke attended Clearwater Central Catholic High School. But even in these early years, the seeds of dysfunction were being planted. Hulk's career kept him on the road constantly, creating an environment where normal father-daughter bonding was replaced by the pressure cooker atmosphere of professional wrestling celebrity. Brooke graduated high school at age 16, highlighting her drive and the family's emphasis on education and achievement amid Hulk's celebrity status. But even this achievement was overshadowed by the constant pressure of living up to the Hogan name and dealing with the public scrutiny that came with being Hulk Hogan's daughter. Then came the moment that would change everything: the decision to put their family life on display for the whole world to see. Hogan Knows Best premiered on VH1 on July 10, 2005, and ran until October 21, 2007, spanning 4 seasons and 43 episodes. The show served as a spoof of the 1950s sitcom Father Knows Best, chronicling the the everyday life of the Hogan family in their Clearwater Beach home. On the surface, the show presented the perfect family dynamic. The cast included Hulk as the protective patriarch, Linda as the more lenient mother, teenage Brooke pursuing pop music, and younger brother Nick into motorsports and wrestling. The show was a massive success, becoming VH1's highest-rated series at the time, and it seemed to show America the real Hulk Hogan, a devoted family man trying to balance his larger-than-life persona with the everyday challenges of raising teenagers. But here's what the cameras didn't show, and what Brooke would later reveal in her devastating Instagram posts. The show was lightly scripted, with scenes often reshot for effect, meaning that even their reality was being manipulated for entertainment value. The family's real dynamics were being shaped and distorted by the demands of television production, creating an artificial environment where genuine relationships took a back seat to ratings and storylines. The series heavily featured Hulk and Brooke's father-daughter dynamic, portraying it as playful yet stressful, with Hulk's overprotectiveness as a central theme. At 17, when the show premiered, Brooke was shown as an ambitious teen chasing a music career. During filming, she signed a $1.3 million record deal and released her debut album Undiscovered in 2006, with the lead single About Us premiering on the season 2 finale. But here's where Hulk's controlling nature really began to show its ugly face. The show captured episodes like Brooke's First Date and Brooke's Dating Game, where Hogan was shown spying on dates or vetting boyfriends, often with humorous schemes. What seemed funny and endearing to television audiences was actually the documentation of a father exerting unhealthy control over his daughter's personal life. The most disturbing example of this control was when Hulk installed a GPS tracker in Brooke's car to monitor her, and even remotely disable the engine. Think about that for a moment, wrestling fans. This wasn't just protective parenting, this was surveillance and control that would be considered inappropriate in any healthy relationship. The man who preached about American values was essentially treating his teenage daughter like a prisoner. The show also highlighted their playful interactions, with Brooke nicknamed Brooke Teeny by her dad, and their bond included lighthearted moments like family competitions. But even these seemingly sweet moments were tainted by the underlying dynamic of control and manipulation that was happening behind the scenes. Linda often mediated between father and daughter, adding balance to their interactions. But this mediation was necessary because of the tension that Hulk's controlling behavior was creating. What should have been a normal father-daughter relationship required constant intervention from a third party just to function. Linda later admitted on The Howard Stern Show in 2006 that cameras caused temporary family rifts, revealing that even during what seemed like their happiest period, the pressure of maintaining their public image was already tearing the family apart from the inside. The show ended in 2007, officially due to Hulk and Linda's divorce proceedings, but the damage to the family dynamic had already been done.
I don't know. It just doesn't get better. I do love living alone. I don't ever want to be married again after him, trust me. But I love my animals, and my lawyers were in cahoots with his lawyers. They had everything set up where they were cashing in on me. Yeah.
The portrayal boosted Brooke's career, but foreshadowed later strains as the family's public image unraveled post-show with the 2007 divorce and scandals. What had seemed like a successful family reality show was actually the documentation of a family in the early stages of destruction. The first major blow came in 2007 when Hulk and Linda's marriage began to crumble amid allegations of infidelity. The perfect family that America had fallen in love with was revealed to be built on lies, manipulation, and betrayal. The scandal that would ultimately define Hulk Hogan's legacy and completely destroy his relationship with Brooke began in 2012, but its roots went back to 2007. In October 2012, Gawker Media published a 1-minute, 41-second clip of a 2007 sex tape featuring Hogan and Heather Clem, the then wife of his friend, radio personality Bubba the Love Sponge Clem. The tape was secretly recorded without Hogan's knowledge or consent, capturing 3 separate sexual encounters. But the real devastation came in July 2015, when the racist content of those tapes was revealed to the world. Leaked audio transcript from the sex tape surfaced, revealing Hogan using racial slurs, including the N-word, during a private conversation about his daughter Brooke's dating life. The specific comments were even more shocking than the general racism. Hogan was recorded expressing discomfort about Brooke reportedly dating a black man, specifically referencing Brooke's then-boyfriend, producer Yannick Stack Dollar Barker.
The thing is, now they start doing these nasty emails, so someone arrived at a relationship, and so now Brooke didn't want to talk to anybody.
Think about what this meant for Brooke, brothers. Her own father was caught on tape using the most vile racist language while discussing her personal relationships. He added concerns about Brooke's music career being impacted by associating with black artists, showing that his racism wasn't just personal. He was willing to sabotage his daughter's career prospects because of his own bigoted views. The fallout was immediate and devastating. On July 24, 2015, WWE terminated Hogan's contract and removed him from their website and Hall of Fame, with the company stating they were committed to embracing and celebrating individuals from all backgrounds. Hogan lost endorsement deals and was removed as a judge on WWE's Tough Enough, and his public appearances were severely limited. But the real victim in all of this wasn't Hulk Hogan. It was Brooke, who found herself in an impossible position. Brooke initially defended her father in a 2015 interview, stating, "That's not who he is," but later cited the scandal as devastating her career and forcing her to defend poor behavior publicly. The 2015 scandal wasn't an isolated incident. It was part of a pattern of behavior that had been destroying Brooke's life for years. Additional recordings surfaced, including jailhouse phone calls from 2008 between Hogan and his son Nick, who was serving time for a car accident, where Hogan used the N-word again, referring to Nick's black cellmates, showing that this wasn't just a one-time mistake, but a consistent pattern of racist thinking. But the scandals didn't stop there. Hulk's personal life continued to provide ammunition that would further destroy his relationship with his daughter. His marriage to Jennifer McDaniel from 2010 to 2021 was overshadowed by the sex tape scandal and its legal aftermath, showing Brooke that her father's pattern of destructive behavior wasn't changing. The 2009 divorce from Linda had been finalized after she filed in 2007, citing infidelity with Christian Plant, one of Brooke's close friends. Think about the betrayal Brooke must have felt. Not only was her father cheating on her mother, but he was doing it with someone from her own inner circle, someone she trusted. Another scandal that impacted the family was Nick's 2007 imprisonment for 8 months following a car accident that permanently injured his friend John Graziano. The incident was covered on Hogan Knows Best, adding another layer of public shame and family dysfunction that Brooke had to navigate. Throughout all of these scandals, Brooke was expected to be the dutiful daughter, defending her father publicly while privately dealing with the emotional devastation of watching her family's reputation crumble. She was repeatedly asked to defend poor behavior to the public and have done so out of love, only to find she was misinformed, manipulated, and lied to. But even as their relationship crumbled under the weight of these scandals, there was still more devastation to come. The final chapter of Hulk Hogan's life would bring new revelations about his character, his attempts at redemption, and the ultimate legacy he would leave behind. The final bell and a complex legacy. The final chapter of Hulk Hogan's life reads like the most complex wrestling storyline ever written, a tale of attempted redemption, spiritual awakening, and ultimate tragedy that would leave wrestling fans questioning everything they thought they knew about one of the industry's biggest icons. Hogan's health had deteriorated significantly in the years leading up to his death, largely due to the physical demands of his wrestling career, with over 25 surgeries in the last decade of his life.
I think my body pretty much shut down on me, and I ended up having like 25 surgeries in the last 10 years.
The body that had once slammed Andre the Giant was now failing him, requiring multiple back surgeries, knee and hip replacements, and constant medical intervention. But it wasn't just his physical health that was crumbling. In the months before his death, there were significant rumors and hospitalizations that highlighted his declining condition. On June 18, 2025, radio host Bubba the Love Sponge claimed Hogan was in critical condition, sparking rumors he was on his deathbed. While his representatives denied these claims, the writing was on the wall. The immortal Hulk Hogan was becoming increasingly mortal with each passing day. The final months of Hogan's life were marked by a desperate attempt to find peace and redemption through faith. On December 20th, 2023, Hulk Hogan and his wife, Sky Daly Hogan, were baptized at Indian Rocks Baptist Church in Largo, Florida.
I just get tired of crashing and burning. I get tired of making mistakes and getting up and moving forward. I get tired of getting so many scars on me. And, I got to a point in my life before I met Sky, before I had the baptism, where I'd had enough. I was sick and tired of myself.
Hogan shared the moment on social media, writing what would become some of his most profound words. "Total surrender and dedication to Jesus is the greatest day of my life. No worries, no hate, no judgment, only love." For many wrestling fans, his baptism represented hope. Hope that the man who had made so many mistakes might finally find peace and redemption. Hogan described the baptism as a major pivot in his life, emphasizing his commitment to living faithfully. In an April 2023 social media post, he had written about accepting Christ as his Savior Savior at 14 years old, saying that now that he was one with God, he was ready to slam any giant of any size through the power of my Lord and Savior. But here's the tragic reality, brothers. While Hulk Hogan was finding his faith and trying to make peace with his creator, he was still unable to make peace with his own daughter. The estrangement with Brooke continued right up until his death, showing that sometimes the damage we do to those we love most is simply too great to repair, even with divine intervention. The end came suddenly, as it often does for wrestling legends who have pushed their bodies beyond human limits for decades. On July 24, 2025, emergency responders were dispatched to Hulk Hogan's home in Clearwater, Florida, following a call reporting a cardiac arrest at 9:51 a.m. The man who had entertained millions around the world was treated by rescue crews before being transported to Morton Plant Hospital, where he was pronounced dead at 11:17 a.m. The 911 call was described as chilling and disturbing, with leaked CPR footage showing the desperation of the moment as paramedics worked frantically to save the wrestling icon. The audio clip captured the dispatcher's calm but urgent tone as they coordinated the emergency response, but it was too late. The Hulkster had fought his final match. The final days of Hogan's life were emotionally turbulent, dominated by the estrangement from Brooke that had persisted for years. Insiders revealed his final moments were emotional and marked by deathbed heartbreak, particularly over unresolved family tensions. The man who had conquered every opponent in the ring had been defeated by his inability to repair the most important relationship in his life. Hogan was heartbroken and hopeful for reconciliation with Brooke, but she had publicly alluded to verbal and mental abuse in her childhood. Tragedy is that in their last conversation before his death, there might have been a glimmer of hope. Reports suggest that Brooke told him she loved him, but it was too little, too late to heal decades of damage. Following Hogan's death, Brooke broke her silence once more with a tribute that was both heartbreaking and revelatory. On July 29, 2025, she posted an emotional Instagram tribute that showed the complex mix of love and pain that defined their relationship. She affirmed their bond, saying, "My dad's blood runs through my veins, his eyes shine through my children, and our bond is never broken, not even in his final moments." But even in this tribute, the pain was evident. Brooke explained how she had moved to Florida to support Hulk through approximately 25 surgeries, offering to be his life raft amid personal and business problems. She had tried to be there for her father during his darkest hours, despite everything he had put her through. The most heartbreaking part of her tribute revealed how Hogan had ultimately rejected even her attempts to help. She described how, then all of a sudden, he didn't want me at surgeries. Everything started getting covered in a thick veil. It was like there was a force field around him that I couldn't get through. Even when she was trying to save their relationship, her father was pushing her away. After respectful disagreements, she had to step away to protect my heart in the last 2 years, around September 2023. The daughter who had tried everything to maintain a relationship with her father finally had to choose her own mental health and well-being over continuing to subject herself to his toxic behavior. Despite everything, Brooke's tribute showed that part of her still loved the man who had given her life, even as he had spent years systematically destroying it. She found peace in knowing I did everything I could. He knew I would run through a burning building for him, and in many ways, along the path of life I did. The final twist in this tragic story came with the revelation of Hogan's will and Brooke's complete removal from it. In 2023, Brooke had requested removal from Hogan's will to avoid contentious battles over his estate, which was estimated at $25, $40 million. This wasn't about greed or financial disputes. It was about self-preservation and dignity. But for Brooke, this wasn't about making a statement. It was about survival. She anticipated disputes, especially with Hogan's new wife potentially claiming 30% under Florida law, and she wanted no part of the family drama that would inevitably follow his death. The legacy that Hulk Hogan left behind is as complex and contradictory as the man himself. On one hand, there's no denying his monumental impact on professional wrestling and popular culture. Hogan is widely regarded as one of the greatest professional wrestlers of all time, a 12-time world champion whose Hulkamania phenomenon transformed wrestling into a mainstream entertainment juggernaut.
It's going to be the survival of the quickest draw, because once you get on that level, everybody's gunning for you. I don't care what the storyline is. You got to make your own breaks when you get to that level. You got to outthink the office, you got to outthink the business, you got to outthink the company. And once you get on that level, you've got to make your own breaks.
His match against Andre the Giant on February 5, 1988, achieved a 15.2 Nielsen rating and 33 million viewers, one of the highest in wrestling history. He was inducted into the WWE Hall of Fame in 2005 individually, and in 2021 as part of the NWO, cementing his place in wrestling history. Hogan's crossover into Hollywood, with roles in Rocky III, 1982, and No Holds Barred, 1989, and his reality show Hogan Knows Best, 2005 to 2007 cemented his status as a pop culture icon. For millions of fans around the world, Hulk Hogan represented the American dream, a larger-than-life hero who stood for training, prayers, and vitamins. In his final years, Hogan's attempt at redemption through faith became a significant part of how he wanted to be remembered.
Oh my gosh, please forgive me. Please forgive me. I'm a nice guy.
After his death, some tributes highlighted his baptism and spiritual journey, with commentators like Charlie Kirk stating that Hulk Hogan left us with many memories, but his greatest legacy is that 18 months ago, he and his wife were baptized and gave their lives to Jesus Christ. His charitable work over the decades was also part of his legacy. He was named the most requested celebrity of the 1980s for the Make-A-Wish Foundation, and he supported numerous organizations, including the American Diabetes Association and the Special Olympics. These efforts showed a man who genuinely wanted to give back and help others, particularly children. But perhaps the most honest assessment of Hulk Hogan's legacy comes from his own daughter's words. Despite everything he put her through, Brooke believed in the possibility of reunion, writing, "He used to remind me, all of this is temporary and I'll always find my way back to you. I truly believe that. We will find each other in every lifetime." President Donald Trump, a longtime friend, described Hogan as MAGA all the way and praised his speech at the 2024 Republican National Convention. But even these tributes couldn't erase the complex reality of who Hulk Hogan really was behind the character. In the end, Hulk Hogan's greatest victory might have been his daughter's courage to finally tell the truth about who he really was behind the character. And his greatest defeat wasn't losing a match or facing scandal, it was losing the love and respect of the daughter who had once looked up to him as her hero. That's a loss that no amount of fame, fortune, or redemption can ever truly overcome. That will be all for now. Thanks for watching, and I hope that you click on the card showing on the screen to stay updated on more content such as this.